Sinha has joined us virtually. He was supposed to come here, but due to parliamentary session, he is joining us today virtually. May I now invite Shri Jayant Sinha, Chairperson of Standing Committee on Finance and Parliament of India and BJP Lok Sabha Member of Parliament from Hazaribhag, Jharkhand, to deliver a keynote address. But before he deliver his keynote address, I will take few minutes to introduce him. Shri Sinha is a second-term member of Parliament from Jharkhand, India. He won his Lok Sabha election in 2014 and 19 with record margins. As a chairperson of Standing Committee on Finance, Shri Sinha leads 31-member parliamentary panel that has oversight for the Ministries of Finance, Corporate Affairs, Statistics and Program Implementation and the Niti Aayog. In addition, the panel has parliamentary responsibilities for the Reserve Bank of India, SEBI, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board, and the Insurance and Pension Regulatory Authorities. Shri Sinha is very active in Parliament, having opened the debate on India's annual budget on the multiple occasions, as well as by introducing important private member bill. In 2021 budget session, he introduced Climate Change Net Zero Carbon Private Member Bill 2021. Previously, he served on India's Council of Ministers from 2014 to 2019, first as the Minister of State for Finance and then as a Minister of State for Civil Aviation. During his time as a minister, Shri Sinha gained wide recognition as an innovative and result-oriented policymaker with the regular successes ranging from piloting the legislation that brought in India's game-changing bankruptcy code and establishing India's sovereign wealth fund to privatizing multiple airports under the entirely new regulatory framework. As the aviation minister, Shri Sinha was instrumental in upgrading safety and security across India's fast-growing aviation system. He launched the UDAN, the regional connectivity scheme, which expanded the number of operational airports in India by 50% in just 3 years. Shri Sinha also implemented several major digital initiatives such as Digital Sky Drone Policy and DG Yatra Digital Traveler Program. Prior to his career in public service, Shri Sinha was partner at Omidor Network on the managing director of Omidor Network India Advisor, where he led overall investment strategy and operation in India 2009 to 2013. At Omidor, Shri Sinha made virtual capital investment in variety of companies, including two unicorns, Quicker and Daily Hunt. Before joining Omidor Network, Shri Sinha was a managing director at Courage Capital Management, where he led global technology and India-related investing for $1 billion global special situation hedge fund. Shri Sinha joined Courage Capital in 2006 after 12 years with the McKinsey & Company, where he was a partner in Boston and Delhi office as a co-lead the global software and service practices. As a thought leader, Shri Sinha has been published in the Financial Times, Times of India, Economic Times, Indian Express, Business Standards, Harvard Business Review, and a McKinsey Quarterly. He has pioneered new thinking on the platform-based businesses, innovation-driven entrepreneurship, climate change, and sustainable development. Shri Sinha's Getting to the Green Frontier development model is again broad acceptance as a net zero pathway in India in 21st century. Shri Sinha has MBA with a distinction from the Harvard Business School and MS in the Energy Management and Policy from University of Pennsylvania and BTech with the distinction from IIT Delhi. He was awarded the Distinguished Alumni Award from the IIT Delhi in 2015. May I request now Shri Sinha to deliver his keynote address.
Thank you very much, and thank you also for that very comprehensive introduction. Very happy to be with you this afternoon. Sorry, I cannot be with you all in person because, of course, as you know, the Parliament session is going on. We've had a few disruptions, including some people coming into Parliament yesterday, but everybody is safe, and we are continuing to do our parliamentary work and our parliamentary business. So what I wanted to do today, and unfortunately, I will not have too much time, but what I wanted to do today was to actually present to you the work that I have been doing over the last several years on how India can develop while taking into account all of the sustainability issues that were discussed in the last session, and also getting to net zero by 2070. So we need to come up with a very different development model, a development model that no country in the world has practiced. And that is a development model that allows us to become globally competitive, to become a middle income country, while at the same time decarbonizing very, very quickly. So that's what I will quickly go through, and I'll leave a few minutes at the end so that you can ask me any questions you might have. So next page, please. So as you know, traditionally, the development model that most countries have followed has been what's been called as farm to factory. So they followed the farm to factory development model. This is a picture of some Chinese people working in the paddy fields and then working in a textile factory. And the two drivers that have driven this are industrialization and urbanization. Next page. Now, if you look at this in a more sophisticated conceptual way, you have to understand that we can really focus on two important dimensions: people, which includes all the things that are important for people, like jobs, wealth, GDP, and then of course the planet itself, which is what our carrying capacity is from a planet perspective. And the farm to factory development really is people going from the farm, using technology to increase production, and therefore improving both the planet's carrying capacity as well as increasing GDP. Next page. So this is what it would look like if we were to plot the farm to factory development model. This is what it would look like. We would go from farm to factory. We'd be on the production frontier, and it would be industrialization and urbanization through technology that would be driving our growth. Next page. The reality, of course, is that we are facing some significant constraints. While in the past, the view was that as we followed the farm to factory development model, we would improve both the planet's carrying capacity as well as GDP. The reality is, while we are increasing GDP, we are actually reducing the planetary resources. And we have some significant challenges that we are dealing with globally, which is around climate change and around job creation. Next page. Now, I'm going to go through the next slides fairly quickly because you know this well. And of course, this was discussed extensively in the previous discussion as well. But we are in a situation where, of course, carbon dioxide levels are higher than they have been in 250,000 years. So we've got a lot of carbon that's gone into the atmosphere. Next page. And as a result, the view is that actual global warming by 2100, instead of being limited to 2 degrees or 1.5 degrees centigrade, which is what the scientists are telling us, could actually get to 2.8 degrees centigrade. This is the baseline projection for the United Nations by 2100, given today's decarbonization trajectories. So we are saying that global average mean temperatures are going to go to 2.8 degrees centigrade. And these are global averages. These are not land temperatures. We, of course, know that 2/3 of the planet is ocean. And therefore, if the overall globe is going to warm by 2.8 degrees centigrade, land temperatures are going to increase by 4 degrees centigrade. So, maximum temperatures, for example, in Delhi, which are 48 degrees, could very well go more than 55, 56 degrees centigrade, because that's how fast the land is heating up. Next page. And of course, as a result of that, the traditional development model, the farm to factory development model, doesn't really appear to be sustainable, because if we keep using fossil fuels to develop and pumping carbon into the atmosphere, we are going to be in a situation where the planet is going to become very, very difficult to live in. And certainly India is going to be one of the worst affected regions because of what's happening to the monsoon, what's happening to flooding, what's happening to temperatures. Next page. In addition to that, along with the fact that the planet is warming, we are also facing some major tipping points, which can also interact with each other in very unexpected ways, and which are beyond the realm of science to model right now. So we obviously have the ice sheets that are melting in the Arctic and the Antarctica. Coral reefs are dying out. There's huge glacial melting that's happening. And as these work with each other, we could have runaway effects, which could lead to cataclysmic climate change. So instead of 2.8 degrees centigrade, what if the planet warms by 4 degrees centigrade, what happens then? Those are the kinds of things that could trigger actually cataclysmic climate change. Next page. Now we know that extreme weather events are becoming much more frequent. That's already been discussed at length. Next page. And we've had some very significant heat waves last year, which meant that air temperatures and land surface temperatures reached records that we've never seen before. And of course, you know well that 2023 is by a long stretch the warmest year on record. In fact, this year is going to be 2 degrees centigrade warmer than pre-industrial era temperatures. So this year has been a real outlier in terms of the heating. And that's, of course, the combination of El Nino with global warming. Next page. And the previous speaker was talking about sea level rise. But the modeling that's been done at MIT and a few other places show that many of India's low-lying cities, including, of course, Mumbai, are going to be very significantly impacted by sea level rises. Next page. Agriculture also is at risk because many of our districts are going to be facing drought and flooding type situations. 20% of our rural districts are very much at risk. Next page. And so it's very important, given these risks, that India must bend the curve now. And this is a decisive decade in which we get onto a net zero decarbonization trajectory. Next page. Now, even as we are dealing with decarbonization, we also have to make sure that we are creating enough jobs in our economy. That means our growth has to be good. And so if I take Bhola Mehto, for example, from Tati Jharia block in Hazaribhag in my constituency, he doesn't want an informal job. He wants a formal job. Next page. And if we want to get Bhola Mehto a job, if we now take him and put him into a brown job, like driving an auto rickshaw, that's going to continue to contribute to climate change. Next page. And so if I take Bhola Mehto and give him a job in a petrol-driven auto rickshaw, we will still be on the current path. He'll go from making 7,000 rupees a month to making 15,000 rupees a month. But this is not a sustainable trajectory, as we just saw, because it's just going to continue to result in more climate change. Next page. So what we need to do is we've got to take Bhola Mehto, and instead of getting him a brown job, we need to get him a green job. So rather than him working, for example, in Ranchi and driving an auto rickshaw, what if he could come to Delhi and work with a blue smart all-electric vehicle and get a green job making 30,000 rupees a month, as opposed to a brown job making 15,000 rupees a month. Next page. And therefore, what we really need to do for India, and this is my development model, we need to go from farm to frontier, not farm to factory. As I said, farm to factory is a development model that is unsustainable, rising emissions, insufficient job creation, chaotic urbanization. So it's really not resulting in the kind of development that we really want. So अगर हमें विकसित भारत बनाना है तो हमें green frontier model अपनाना पड़ेगा. We need a very different development model that's leading us to a green frontier of both competitiveness as well as sustainability. Next page. And therefore, in the green frontier development model, think of decarbonization as development. And there are 4 elements to that. One, obviously, we have to go to renewables for our electric system. We have to go to 100% electric or green hydrogen transportation. We've got to get biofuels going through green hydrogen and other systems. And we need global carbon markets so that we can clear the world, in terms of carbon investments and get full credit for our carbon emissions reductions. Next page. And that really is the path for us to follow. It's a continuous innovation path. A Bhola Mehto, instead of going to work in a petrol auto rickshaw, Bhola Mehto through continuous innovation works with the Blue Smart. Next page. And there are a host of companies now that are actually pursuing this kind of continuous innovation and getting us, in fact, to the green frontier. Companies like Blue Smart, Chai Point, NutriFresh, Ether, Electric Pay, Idea Forge. These are the next generation sustainable companies, and it's their entrepreneurship and innovation that's actually taking us to the green frontier, where we are combining digitization and decarbonization. So we are combining digitization and decarbonization, and that's really helping us forge a completely new development model, a green frontier development model. Next page. And if we do that, if we pursue this decarbonization development model as soon as possible, in this decisive decade, next page, we will in fact get to higher GDP growth. And so net zero, and this is my big slogan, net zero is net positive. Net zero is massively net positive for India. We have higher GDP growth. Next page. We create more jobs. We create green jobs. So the net zero scenarios are much better than the business as usual scenario in terms of the number of jobs that we are creating. Next page. And very importantly, because both Mumbai and Delhi have suffered through this in the last few months, we actually reduce air pollution dramatically because we are going away from fossil fuels to renewables and electric transportation. And as a result of that, we are going to be able to save many lives. Today, Lancet has calculated that India has excess mortality of between 1 to 2 million lives a year because of air pollution. So air pollution impact is huge and really makes a very big difference. Next page. And of course, we reduce our fossil fuel imports. Right now, we are importing about $250 billion a year of fossil fuels. And if we continue on the business as usual scenario, we'll be importing $1 trillion worth of fossil fuels. So we really have to get it down, and that this dramatically improves our balance of payments. Next page. And this is what the farm to green frontier development model means. You take Bhola Mehto, instead of him working in a farm at 7,000 rupees a month, he gets a green frontier job like modern day dairy processing, makes 30,000 rupees a month. Next page. But it's not just about Bhola Mehto, it's about Geeta Oraon as well. And Geeta Oraon can go from the farm where she is making 7,000 rupees a month at best to actually working in a new horticulture type company like NutriFresh, making 30,000 rupees a month. So I'll stop here. This is what I mean by the green frontier development model. You're combining digitization and decarbonization to actually go from farm to frontier. This is a far better development model than the development model that has traditionally been practiced, which is a development model of farm to factory. That development trajectory is completely unsustainable now. We have to move to a completely unique and different development model, farm to green frontier, digitization and decarbonization. Stop here and take a few questions and then sign off in just a few minutes. Thank you.
Mr. Sinha, thank you so much for being with us today and then sharing your invaluable insight. I think there would not have been any more compelling way somebody could have argued about making, as you say, net zero development model, which is a model from farm to green frontier. I think a lot of those insights are there. We will take them on board as we debate today on this important topic and what, as India Inc., we need to do to move forward with full confidence and support the delivery of the Panchamrit role that our Honorable Prime Minister has called out at COP26. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me. Bye-bye.